So I think it's safe to say the Shazam Fury of the Gods is probably going to go down as one of the biggest flops that I can think of for modern superhero movies. I'm almost positive at this point. I mean, the movie is literally going to digital streaming already, even though it just came out. It didn't even get a couple of weeks in the movie theaters, and it's already going to digital streaming on Amazon, to my knowledge anyway. So that is a pretty bad flop, to the likes of which I don't think it's been seen since Morbius, and I wouldn't even count Morbius as a big superhero film, because at least Shazam had a previous film to go by, right? Like Morbius, when that came out, that was a brand new movie, brand new character that nobody was used to, and people were getting to know it. Whereas Shazam, everybody knows Shazam at this point. We got to see the original movie, and if you were a fan of that movie, I would imagine you were going to see this movie, but apparently that's not the case. So now we have an article talking about something completely out of left field. Like, I don't even know how Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson got dragged into this, but apparently, according to Bounding Into Comics, there's a new article that says that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson said that we put our best foot forward with Black Adam, and is seemingly being called out for sabotaging Shazam Fury of the Gods by Zachary Levi. So Zachary Levi is the guy who obviously plays Shazam. This is Zachary Levi, and apparently he is calling out The Rock and blaming him for everything that was wrong with Fury of the Gods. Now, I don't know why he would do such a thing, because at the end of the day, you are the star of the movie, not The Rock. So the movie failing has everything to do with you and the director, and nothing to do with The Rock. But let's see exactly what they have to say. So it says, the groundwork Dwayne Johnson tried to lay for his own DC universe that would have held on to Henry Cavill in the critical role of Superman was wrecked when James Gunn and Peter Safran took over DC Studios. Any specifications Johnson had, they decided weren't worth their time, and out went Cavill, and the former was recently asked about this. All that I can do, and all that we could do when we were making Black Adam, was to put our best foot forward and surround ourselves with the best people and deliver the best movie that we could, Johnson said to Variety at the Oscars. Our audience score was in the 90s. Critics took a couple of shots, but that's just the business of it. Using a football analogy for the takeover by Gunn and Safran, he added, but I think it's almost like when you have a pro football team and your quarterback wins championships and your head coach wins championships, and then a new owner comes in and says, not my coach, not my quarterback, I'm going to go with somebody new. Johnson sounds as if he takes the transition in stride, though it's clear that he might have liked to carry his DCU vision into the future. He touts Black Adam's audience score just as he did the small apocryphal prophet the film supposedly made, in a claim that was rebuked. Moreover, to keep Cavill as one of his centerpieces, he moved heaven and earth. Now, okay, you gotta imagine, James Gunn is going to follow the Marvel route, right? Marvel, what they did was they took actors and actresses, for the most part, that weren't super well known, at least maybe not in general, or maybe not even in the comic book space or superhero space, and they made them into something, right? Like, people fell in love with these actors, and that was what allowed them to hire these actors for cheap initially, and then eventually grow the brand with these actors. I remember Robert Downey Jr. obviously being a good actor, but not being super well known and popular until he essentially took over Iron Man. And then once he became Iron Man, that was it. He embodied Iron Man, and his life changed because of that character. So James Gunn is going to go in the same route, where he's going to try to hire a bunch of nobodies, or he's going to try to hire a bunch of people that aren't necessarily tied to the comic book world or the superhero world, and he's going to try to make them into something, because that's how you start off, by lowering the budget. You hire actors that don't cost a lot of money, and you try to make them into superstars. And I think that's what he's going to try to do with the DCU. Unfortunately, with somebody like The Rock costs a lot of money. I don't know if he wants to admit that to himself. I'm sure he will, because his ego is like through the roof. But costs a lot of money, and they're not going to want to spend that level of money. And the same thing with Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill probably doesn't cost as much money as The Rock, I would imagine. Maybe it's close. I don't know. It's tough to say, because The Rock is The Rock, and Henry Cavill is just an actor. So The Rock obviously has acting background. The Rock obviously has his name from WWE. So you have a combination of things that make him ultra famous, whereas Henry Cavill is just an actor. And I know that's so stupid to say, just an actor, but you guys get what I'm saying. I don't know if it's equal. You guys can tell me in the comments down below what you think. But ultimately, Henry Cavill and The Rock are going to cost an insane amount of money in order to employ them. And DC, I almost would guarantee you, is trying to lower their budget drastically when they make these movies, because they don't want to pull the same mistakes that Marvel made. Not only that, they don't want to pull the same mistakes they were already making with their movies before the new DCU came out. So it says, some say Johnson went too far with this alleged allegedly ruffling feathers and going over executives' heads to get his way. All the while, Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav went behind Johnson's back to hire Gunn to reinterpret Superman, also without the knowledge of Cavill. So in the dark, the actor rang in his ill-fated comeback in a special video message. It says, as Cavill was walked out of the door, Johnson and Gunn had a meeting which resulted in Black Adam not being part of the first chapter of Gunn's Gods and Monsters vision for the DCU. However, DC and Seven Bucks have agreed to continue exploring the most valuable ways Black Adam can be utilized in future DC multiverse chapters. Holding true to that might prove easier said than done, and that isn't solely because too much time could go by. The star's reputation might have taken a serious hit internally for maneuvers he made in relation to the Shazam movies. The Wrap reports that Johnson was trying to restructure the DCEU around himself and Henry Cavill for a future showdown between Black Adam and Superman that left Shazam out. Now, that is something that I can see. Again, The Rock's ego is massive, okay? He's a massive guy with a massive ego. So it's not so surprising to me to try to convince me that he wanted to change as much as humanly possible so that the entire story could revolve around the character that he is personally playing. That wouldn't surprise me at all. You could very much see that the ending of Black Adam was definitely going to lead up to a showdown between Superman and Black Adam. That was a given. Henry Cavill coming back, even for that split second as Superman, that was a given. That's exactly what they were going to do. But unfortunately for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he got outplayed, and they were playing chess while he was playing checkers, and David Zaslav was 2 steps ahead of The Rock while The Rock was playing catch-up. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that landed him in the unemployed line, at least when it comes to DC movies, as well as Henry Cavill. Now, Henry Cavill's heavily loved, okay? Henry Cavill's heavily loved by basically all the fans because he's one of those actors that's for the fans. You know, like, he makes decisions and he tries to create content that is for the fans that he knows people are going to like, that people are going to love, and people are going to notice from the source material. And everybody hates him. Like, everybody in terms of, like, Hollywood, they hate him. They don't like working with actors like that because those actors are trying too hard to make sure that the publication stays true to the source material, and they don't want to stay true to the source material at all. Unless the source material is woke, they're not going to want to stay true to it. They're going to want to change it, and it doesn't matter what story they're adapting. It says Zachary Levi was persona non grata in Black Adam, and that was by design, as Johnson allegedly said no to a cameo. He later reportedly blocked David Sandberg, it's added, from using any Justice Society members in Shazam, Fury of the Gods post-credit scene in which Emilia Harcourt and John Agonamos tried to recruit old Sparklefinger. Levi bolstered the credibility of these details from behind the scenes of each production when he shared them and cited the source in an Instagram story that's blowing up on social media. Levi added text to his story to caption it with his commentary on the scandal. It said, "The truth shall set you free. For many, that says everything." So again, it wouldn't surprise me at all if The Rock is trying to create some sort of like control over DCU, but ultimately he lost that control. It doesn't matter if he screwed over this movie. This movie screwed over itself. When they decided to try to make it something that's not part of the new DCU, a lot of people stopped caring about it. Nobody even wanted to go bother seeing it because ultimately, if you're trying to get involved in DC movies because you're trying to follow some sort of continuity, this movie serves no purpose. It's an Elseworld story. It literally only exists just to try to get its money back, and now we are seeing that it's going to completely fail in that aspect. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy, and if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.